All right, well. All right, thank you guys for stopping in. I'm live at both TikTok right now, as well as my YouTube channel, so you can check me out. Obviously, either spot. And I just really wanted to get into this classic film, 1408. Right, this is obviously this is the season. We're one day away from Halloween, and this is the perfect time to talk about this film. And this is like a classic film right here in a lot of ways. And I'm going to tell you right now, like, being Gen X myself, this is like two of our titans of acting from Gen X, man. We got John Cusack, one of my favorite actors, and we got Samuel L. Jackson. Like, two guys I've been watching for a long time. And like for Gen X, man, this is two of our elites right here. So you knew when you get these two guys together, like, this was going to be a great film. And these guys interact like extremely well. So this is kind of how the film opens up. And the backstory on this is that, Cuse, as I call him, the Cuse, he's, been investigating these types of stories. He's kind of a sham kind of guy. So he comes into it as a guy who, already doesn't believe in any of this stuff. Like, he investigates it on the regular, and he's never seen any of it. So it's kind of torn on whether he was actually, like, in it. I guess at some point he's kind of burned out and he's a little bit jaded about the whole life. He interacts with some fans. He talks about his old style of writing. So, we have a character he's got some angst. And like going into it, like he's, been through this traumatic event, he loses his daughter, all stuff that's going to be very important, right? And this is kind of giving us the backstory on this guy. So a cynical writer, but again, like brilliance. He comes in and his first interactions with Samuel Jackson really set the tone. No, they don't. They don't properly set the tone for what's going to come because there's still no expectation of what's to come. We get some definitive warning, right? And we're getting some signs of what's in this room. Like we know he visits other spots, and they set us up by the initial scene is him at like this bed and breakfast, and it's a nothing sandwich, right? Like they're like, yo, the maid hung herself here, and all these people have died here, and so it's a nothing sandwich, right? But it is nothing compared to what we're gonna see from this hotel. And I'm gonna make a lot of good points as I get into this series. But I just want to give you a good setup. Like if this is the movie you want to check out tonight, there will be spoiler alert. So I'm letting you know right now. If you haven't seen this movie, it's 2007. So anybody this newer generation, you may not have watched it, but still, so it's really, really, really. The film works. Like it'll work. You don't. The gap in technology and all stuff isn't going to be that significant where it won't have meaning, right? So this is the scenario, and what we're going to see though from this movie is a level of psychological like attack that we're really not used to seeing in like anything else. Like, and it's particularly insidious. And I'm going to break down why for a lot of reasons. So I want to give you this backstory so I can get you in. And once you're hooked, I'm going to lay out what we see in mythic terms from this story that we haven't seen from any other storytelling. So we get into our setup a little bit more. We got these two powerful actors. We start off with some images of what's going on in this hotel. This is kind of the stuff that's been in the hotel, right? This image right here, right? And this is a guy, and it's riddled with people killing themselves, okay, in this hotel room, and it's gonna make perfect sense as to why is at killing. And if you're in this room, I'm gonna tell you right now, killing yourself, yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Like I'm telling you, as I'm watching this, I'm like, man, your capacity to get out of 1408, man, this is a tough one right here. So this is kind of the insidious nature of what we're walking into, right? And the entire time, Samuel Jackson is like, he's the hotel manager, right? And he's like, don't go in this hotel room. Like he does everything to stop this man from going to this hotel. But I get where John Cusack is coming at it with. You're like, I don't believe in any of this stuff. It's all nonsense, right? So like, he offers him like an expensive bottle of like brandy or cognac or something like that. Like just trying to bribe this guy not to stay in his head. And this is a super high-end hotel. It's very old, very venerated hotel. But they got this problem that they've contained. And it's an active problem. So this is going to bring up some questions about what kind of force is in that hotel, right? In this hotel room. We're going to talk about this because this is kind of central. Like, people don't really talk about this component of it, but we don't know what this force is, right? This never gets identified. They don't give us any clues. We don't know if this is a possession. We have no idea. It wasn't, the people were dying in there. There wasn't someone who died. Did somebody die in there that triggered the whole thing? We don't know. We don't know, right? So this is where it gets really, really interesting with this particular hotel. So we got to understand a lot of things about this hotel that are kind of mysteries that really, really ultimately shape the story of what we see in this hotel, right? So, all right, let me get back to it. I want to get to my notes here because this is going to be very important as it gives you guys this breakdown. Like, I'm going to give it to you, right? Like, absolutely. So the first thing that we do is once we kind of get him in the hotel and we understand like the sense of who he is. So we get this guy, like I said, these are Gen X guys right now. Like, yeah, we kind of hear of all this stuff, mysticism, but he's not necessarily into it. And he's walked this path for so long that he's completely jaded. But when you walk in, like psychologically, you can kind of start to see it. Like, this shot here kind of reminds me of something we see in the Overlook Hotel, right? Coming from The Shining and that more recent Dr. Sleep film. And it's a couple of shots that you'll see early. Like, this is kind of early in the film before anything really gets started. And they're kind of showing you, like, what's going on. And you can get this sense, like, this place obviously has a long history. It looks old, but it's very well maintained. Or, okay, one of the employees says everything's falling apart in the hotel. It looks nice. Like, to me, I'm like, okay, this looks like a nice hotel. They have really high-end service, right? Like, this is like some money. This is the Dolphin, so, right? This is you're cool staying here. So we kind of get this sense of him coming into the hotel, and almost the way it's shot, you almost sense that something's kind of watching him. And I guess, for the right part, like, someone is watching him, right? He is 100% being watched as he, goes through this, right? So, hang on, let me get something. I want to get these notes here for you guys. So I can do this the right side on the tight side, right? Okay. So this is kind of where we come into and understanding that, okay, this hotel is going to show us some almost God tier abilities, right? That's what gets really nutty about the place that he's at, is that what this place shows you that it can do is on a whole nother level. It's altering reality. It understands what's going on in your noodle. So let's talk about it. Okay, so he's in here. He's in the hotel. This is him kind of checking it out. I want to get to this part because the good part's really coming, right? So he gets in the hotel and he goes right into what his style, his core. He's documenting this hotel. So we get a sense of him. And this would be symbolic, right? This micro recorder is probably a symbolic of what he is. He's kind of an orator. He's kind of like, so technology-wise, we're still at the point where we're using, micro recorders, right? I had one of those for classes. This opened up the world for a lot of people in organizing your notes and stuff like that. So this was a big thing. So for a writer like him to be using it went right in. It really captures the time. And then he gets into the hotel, and like pretty quickly on, it starts to go nutty, right? It's pretty quickly on, right? You see him in this state. This is quickly into him being in this room, right? It's 47 minutes in, so it's a kind of a lengthy movie here. Still got more than an hour here to go, right? And you can see it starts to descend on him. Okay, so this is particularly insidious. This is what I want to really point about what this hotel, because it's going to take him through a ride. This is a particularly insidious ride that we see this force on, right? That it takes him on. So the first thing I ask is like, okay, what is this force that's in this room? and they don't give us any explanation. There's no single spirit with a tragic backstory who entered into that room. This place was not built on a witch's grave, right? It, like, even the hotel manager, Samuel Jackson's character, Mr. Olin, just says it's just an evil fucking room. That's it. There's no explanation for why this malevolence exists here. Like, because we understand that, you know, if you're in the community of Aquesta, right, Poltergeist, it was built over an ancient burial ground. So that's kind of the impetus. That's the why that the spirit is there, right? But in this one, you don't get that, right? And it's not even where the spirit comes from. So we don't know any of this. We don't know what type of manifestation that it is on any level. No one knows anything about it. It is completely enigmatic in that sense, okay? But here's what we see this hotel room do, right? This hotel room is particularly insidious. I'm going to get to the insidious nature because that's a part of it. So when we look at, like, okay, what is the force? It's not a ghost, right? It's not a primary ghost. But we know that this room is sentient. This is what we do know about it. We can tell as it progresses through this that this room watches you, right? It reflects things back at you. It completely pays attention. And it already has a sense of irony, right? There's a reason that it plays the Karen Carpenter song, It's Only Just Begun, which is completely haunting to take things from our older culture. So this gives us a little bit of historical understanding, context on how long this entity has been around. That it picked a song and it understood the context of that song and how playing it, like, see, you understand, like, it has to understand a lot about humans to even manifest something like that. That's the purity of what it is. So it watches, it learns, it strategizes, it has a sense of irony. This is a lot of components that we're seeing out of this hotel. And this is the shot, you know, like when you could see the reflection even outside. You can't look outside of the hotel. This is stratatory. This is a predatory intelligence. This is the part that's lost. This isn't, like, I don't believe it's a haunting. And even with the haunting, like, not every ghost is super intelligent. Like, this thing is particularly insidious. It is absolutely sadistic, and we're gonna see why. Like, because the power that this thing manifests, you be dead in 2 minutes. If you walked in the room and it wanted you dead, you'd be dead, right? No one's gonna stop it. Like, there's nothing that you can do about it. You would 100% be dead if it wanted you dead within a pretty, like, short period of time. It would not take long for this place to absolutely destroy you, right? So there's that part, okay? You can see some images, like his perspective, what he's seeing, like his sense of panic. The hotel is doing this because it is sadistic. It plays with you. It also has the ability to feed on fear and grief. And it makes you kind of participate in your own destruction. This is next level. Because what we see out of this, it's able to manifest anything that's in your brain, or even wasn't in your brain, it manifests. So it has a level of actual reality warping. It warps reality. When he wakes up, and this is the scene, okay? This is the scene. It's right. Okay, no, okay, this isn't it. Okay, it's not the right. So it triggers the water. It understands how the system works, right? Okay. It also understands this is on his computer, right? So it starts access. It understands how Windows work. It understands what this voice messaging system. When he calls out to his wife, it gets it. It knows exactly what you're doing. It understands how the customer service system works. So this is an intelligence at a very high level. So in addition to being extremely powerful, it's also extremely intelligent, and it's just an asshole at the same time. So we're getting a lot in this hotel, right? So let's get deeper and deeper into it, right? This room enjoys the process. That's the thing that's particularly sinister about it, is it's having fun the entire time, and its goal is to drive you to killing yourself. That's what the room wants. And okay, here's its ability. Okay, let's talk about what can this room do, because we don't know what it is, but we can identify what it can do. Okay, first of all, this room can create time loops, and we see that. It's geared into that clock. So once it hit that cycle and it clicked, it starts all over again. It's space. It has a mastery over space because space becomes impossible. The window ledge stretch scene where he's going outside, he uses intellect to count how many steps it should be to that next window, right? That next apartment. When he gets out there and actually gets into that scene, all that physics breaks down because it can alter that. It's changing all that. It can manufacture false memories. So this is at a level of, cosmic manipulation as physics itself melts to whatever this creature wants it to be. Whatever it wants to manifest, it happens. So this kind of feels more like a pocket dimension as much as anything else. You're in a space where it is completely God in this space as absolute mastery. So there's a level of torture. There's a level of like personal damnation. Like you're a soul that's literally trapped within this space. So we know this thing is not a poltergeist. We don't believe that it's a demon. It does not appear to be a curse. It is a place that itself has become a predator. And the hotel just doesn't contain. The hotel is just merely the host for where this manifestation. I don't know if it came from like, evil wood. Maybe it was built on evil wood. I don't know what the source of it is, but its ability to manifest destruction is insane. Warping physical space, shifting the environment, temperature extremes, right? Fixtures. It can stop clocks. It has its own death timer that we see. It can create day-long illusion in mere minutes. And it resets its timeline as if it were playing a video game. So in 1408, time is a weapon. It's not a measurement anymore. It's a psychological trick that it's playing on you. Then there's the whole idea of the psychological invasion. When you talk about getting all up in your noodle, this place is all up in your headspace, man. It's living up in your noodle, absolutely rent free. You want it there, right? But it gets real loony with the stuff that it does. So it's always projecting what's in your brain. It's like the CIA therapist on some kind of like steroids, just hacking your brain. Which, think about the level of power that's manifested. It can project hallucinations. So you see an endless stream of just like dead people jumping out the window like ghosts, living family members, and these visions that it gives you are more real than reality. And that's why it's so bad. And then this thing understands how to manipulate our emotions. It understands our emotional state. So it can build trust, it gives grief, it weaponizes hope, it uses fake escape sequences to reinforce submission, like you ain't getting away. It has physical control of this environment at the same time. It controls doors, windows, and layout. The entire layout. It controls electricity, it controls the plumbing, the temperature, objects. It can choke you, it can drown you, it can freeze you, it can burn, it can push you down. It can lay on top of you. It can kill you with a light bulb, or it can get a paper to you. Get really bad paper cut up in here, right? It takes you to the point of killing, and then it resets everything, and the room is all back to normal. It dominates your perceptions. You can't just go to sleep in this room, and it's targeting you. And this is the thing: it's targeting you. When you walk in this room, it has a personal issue with you. It was waiting for you to get there, and the longer it waits, probably the madder it is. So it does not want your money, it doesn't even want your body, it doesn't want your life. It lives on your agony. It feeds on this self that you are ultimately collapsing inward because you can't take the weight of what this thing ultimately is doing to you. And that's what's really crazy about it. Now we go back and we talk about just the absolutely insidious nature of all of this. Because this guy goes through a whole ride, and we all think that the ride is over. But it ain't over, right? Like, we see these scenes where, like, he goes through this, the freezing in the hotel. It's really bad at this point. It's bad. And then he finally, like, wakes up, or he thinks he's waking up in this hotel, right? So he goes through this hotel. This is how much it gives him. This is all an illusion, we will find out. He's at this hotel. Then he's, like, talking to his wife. So he's dealing with all these emotions. So it's putting him through it, like, the wife that you lost your daughter with is there, right? So you're dealing with all this emotional stuff, like this heat, like what you feel like is his healing. They have this nice dinner together. They're really, really talking it out. She ain't ready to go forward yet, but you know what I'm saying? It's looking good. They want to get back. Then it's like he goes to see his pops, which is a lot of pain. So again, he's in this like, you know, emotional stuff. Like, okay, he's crying and he's tearing it up, right? Like this is what this room is doing to him, right? It's taking him through all this healing, and then you get to it, right? Like the healing part with pops, and that's when they're like, yeah, we about to snatch all this away from you. This is the ultimate like Lucy with Charlie Brown, right? The post office scene where it just gets nutty, and right before his eyes they tear the whole illusion back down, right? And this is the ultimate get your ass back over here, right? Because now he's back up in the same room, and it starts all over again, right? So you back in the room, you can see it, man. I'm telling you, you can see. I think we're like, this is probably at the hour 10 mark, hour 20 mark, something like that. This is getting towards the end of it. And psychologically, they've given us so much that mentally you're thinking, okay, man, he dealt with it. He got out of that room. He'll never do that again. Wrong, right? This is not over. And in fact, it gets worse. It gets worse from here. And you're like, what could they possibly do to make this shit worse? Like, well, here it is, man. Bring back your dead kid. They bring back your dead kid, and your dead kid is talking to you and manipulating you. Don't you love me anymore? This is as raw as it gets. I don't even know anybody that could do something like this to another person, and he doesn't want to believe it, right? He doesn't want to believe it. He knows he shouldn't believe this, but it's too real. It feels too good. It feels too good. So ultimately, like, here he is embracing her. Think about this, man. Your daughter's dead. This is the tragedy of your life. And she's back to you right now, just for this. You know, you're hugging her, whatever the circumstances is. We're together. It feels so good, right? The love, daddy. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like this. And again, remember, this is the room doing this. None of this is real. This is the room that took its time to marinate this, and then all of a sudden, she's dead again. So it brings your daughter. It brings your daughter back to you. You fight against the temptation to actually believe this. It forces it upon you till you really get into it, only to kill her again right in front of you in your arms. Okay? You want to talk about the destruction of a psyche? You want to talk about destroying somebody? Like, this is utter mayhem. This is savagery in a way that I've never seen. And this is coming from this room. Where it gets this energy at, I don't know. And like, and just to make it even more insidious, she actually turns to dust right in front of you. She actually turns to ashes right in front of you and explodes all over the place, right? That's what this hotel room thought was a good idea. That's what this hotel room said was, yeah, this is how I'm coming after this guy. For no reason. And he's just like devastated beyond belief, right? He's devastated beyond belief. This is where it's at, okay? Devastated. Okay. And even then, it ain't over, right? The hotel renews itself. This is at 1:35 in the film, right? The hotel renews itself all over again, and it's ready, and it starts the music. It's only just begun, right? Because it's letting you know we're about to get started all over again. And then, like, the real wheels start to really come off, and the torment is just like, it never hides its torment of you. It's letting you know right off the bat, like, I'm coming for you, right? Like, this is beef. And so it really starts to manifest it. So it gives you the option now to kill yourself, which is what it wanted you to do the entire time. This thing gets off on making you kill yourself and laughing about it with whatever kind of friends it has later. That's what's going on with this room. So he finally does. The only thing he can do is, like, at least die like a straight up G, which is what he does. He's like, okay, the only thing you could do, and rational thing to do, if you're ever up against something that's an insurmountable task, it is 100% okay to say, I'm going to burn this bitch down. There is that is culturally, this is written into humans. Whenever some stuff just gets to the point we can't take this shit no more, it is 100% accountable. It's the right thing to do to burn that bitch down. We will burn this bitch to the ground. So he burns this bitch to the ground. And it seems like maybe, you know, like, that's a good thing. He gets his back. He understands that, you know, I'm never gonna escape this, and it's all his fault. This is the master of, like, I jumped into some shit and there was no reason for me to get into this shit at all, but here it is. Yeah, I've gone through all this, and this hotel is only gonna reset. So this is a boss move on his part, because you lost. You're taking that L. You walked into a situation you had no reason going into, and it proved to be far more than what you could take. So the hotel does win, and he wins as well. Like, the hotel doesn't realize that he lights his fire, he dies, he doesn't jump out of the window, and finally the room will be completely shut down. Because it's corporate, like, they kept the room, like, open, I guess open, I don't know. They wouldn't rent it out, but it was still technically there, and they would clean it and service it all the time. So this just completely ended it, so no one else walking. So if you're in the room, this is your last guess, right? And you gotta be pissed about that, because I know you really got off on this. Whether you can just move on to another hotel or apartment, or maybe you go to the projects, I'm not really quite sure what you would do with yourself at this point, but it doesn't matter as long as you don't show up where I'm at. But the thing about it is this hotel, like, it's really insidious. And I mentioned how important his micro recorder was going to be. You know, how this is symbolic, right? At the end of it all. At the end of it all, after all the mess is all burnt up, Sam L's character, you know, they clean the hotel room out. How they clean this bitch out, I don't even know who went in there and cleaned it out. But he finds the recorder that he had. He tried to give it to his wife, this beautiful lady here, and she doesn't want it. So he's just like flipping through stuff. You see this thing burnt up. It survived it though, right? It survived it. It's one of those Sonys, like I had one of these. He survived it, and he starts to play the message that's on there. You know what's on there, and initially he hears the voice, right? You can kind of see the reaction on his face, and it gets increasingly more disturbing, right? Because you can see, oh, of course I do, sweetheart. He gets to the part where he's talking to his daughter, so he's hearing all the multiple voices on the tape, right? So he's like, damn, it was like he heard these voices. So what happens with this hotel room 1408? We presume by Samuel Jackson's words that the hotel that room will get shut down because it starts a major fire. So that room won't get repaired. It'll be shut down, which he is very thrilled about. But he leaves it kind of disturbed, and then we see him see a vision, like something sitting in his back seat, which is kind of insidious. Like, did the room just move on to something else? Is it letting you know? But I think the things that we got to draw out of this room is, one, this awesome level of God tier power. Manipulating time, manipulating space, changing physics, digging into your brain, telepathic abilities, can start fires, change the environment, just anything they could think of. God tier intelligence, God tier powers match with this God tier intelligence, this understanding not only of our world but the nuances of humans, knowing what kind of songs would be particularly chilling, how the repetitive nature of what it was doing, using the time clocks, our own rooted system in time itself, and turning every single aspect of this environment into just an utter nightmare, right? It flaunted how many other people had submitted, how many other people had just jumped out that window and took that ride to the upper room, coming out of there, like, you just can't take it. It's the most oppressive things. Like, I've talked about some pretty brutal environments. I talked about what it's like being at the Overlook Hotel, what it was like being in the Event Horizon, just absolutely psychologically brutal environments to be in. And this one sits right at the top of the list, man. Room 1408 was absolutely a learning lesson for when people tell you not to do something. When you get a warning from somebody, especially an older black dude, and he's like, hey, look, man, don't go in that room, right? Which is what Sam L was saying. Like, I'm looking out for you, man. Like, spreading knowledge, man, that's the sincerest form of love. And telling you to look out for something, man, that's love on a whole other level. I'm caring about your own safety, man. I see you about to make a bad decision. I see you about to take it someplace that you don't want to go. Like, ultimately, you don't want to be there, right? Like, we all know you don't want to be there. I'm telling you in advance. I've seen it. I work here. That's like you went to a restaurant, man. Imagine you go to a restaurant and you see one of your friends or somebody who's a real solid one, and they identify with you, and they're like, hey, don't eat the bisque, right? Don't eat the clam chowder, right? Remember that scene in Fight Club where they go to the hotel and he's like, yeah, don't eat this, right? This is clean, okay? Think about that. You had an insider giving you some information. That's why they call it insider information. And if you're John Cusack, man, like, you know, at the end of it, his wife says at least they're together, meaning he's dead and now he's with his daughter. And that's an acceptable ending, right? To me. If that's what manifests out of it is, you, okay, well, you die. You're gonna die anyway. But now you're able to be with your daughter, okay? And that for the mother gave her comfort. So for her, it's a good thing, and then she can kind of, you know, obviously think she'll join them. She's still, you know, really young, or, you know, she was still young. She had a lot of life left. But knowing that those two together was comforting for her, and I think that would be absolutely comforting for him to wake up. And they give you a taste of that. You hear her voice, but again, I don't know if that's actually her or if it's the 1408 presence again. So I'm a little, but it seemed like we kind of thought it was a good thing that he was hearing her voice and that he was going to be with her. So it's a little bit of redemption, a little bit for being a G at the end. That's what I think what he gets out of it. And he is a hero because he stops any of the rest of us from being dumb enough to push to stay in this curse room. So that's my reaction on 1408. Definitely watch it. This would be great for your Halloween night. It's a big thumbs up. Well acted, well done. Like, just, you know, it's a gorgeous space, good actors. You'll enjoy this one. So anyway, I've done some other profiles on this particular room and some of the other places I've talked about. So check out the content. It's always asked you to hit that like and subscribe. Feel free to check me out at the YouTube channel if you like longer form videos. And as always, thanks for stopping in, and we'll see you next time. I'll be back next morning with another breakdown of my reactions.